The contract marriage became official on Valentine's afternoon, and the office buzzed like a beehive. Some people were secretly slacking off, others were doing their makeup, everyone preparing for a date. Only I was still racking my brain over next month's partner recruitment. I checked every box except one: I had to be married. Reading that line on my computer made my stomach turn. Had I known, I never would have broken up with Jordan. I yanked out my phone and fired off a reconciliation text. Yes, I was crawling back to him. To my shock, he answered right away. A smile tugged at my lips, and I pulled my compact powder from the drawer for a quick touch-up. My junior assistant Emery set a coffee on my desk and, noticing the mirror in my hand, asked, "Boss, client dinner tonight?" "Date," I said, taking a sip. "Getting back together again?" he asked while neatening the folders, eyes flicking toward me. I shook my head, tucked my hair behind my ears, and stood. "The revolution hasn't succeeded yet, comrade, keep fighting. You can head out." As decisive as ever, I grabbed my runway issue tote and strode out on my stilettos. Behind me he called, "Happy Valentine's." I answered silently, "Happy Valentine's." By the time I reached Jordan's chosen restaurant, 2 hours had slipped away rush hour traffic jam. I adjusted my wool coat, studied my reflection in the elevator mirror still ravishing, and exhaled in relief. At the private room door I paused, rehearsing small talk, when it swung open from inside. Jordan greeted me with a grin. "Looks promising," I thought. "You're here? Come in." He pulled me inside. An entire mountain of delicacies covered the table, and my stomach growled. The room was warm. I shed my coat and draped it over the chairback. Jordan stared without blinking, probably because of the claret bodycon dress. "You look incredible tonight," he said, pouring red wine. I accepted the glass. "I was immature. I apologize. Let's start over." He smiled. "I wasn't perfect either. Drink, and the past is past?" I nodded, sipped, and reached for my chopsticks when he held up a hand. "Wait, one more guest." He gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "Nothing unusual. In sales, every night is a client dinner." A moment later the door opened again. I glanced up. Jordan's boss, Leo. I rose with a practiced smile. "Leo, long time." He beamed. "Well, if it isn't the mighty Morgan, chief designer of Sterling Vance before 30. Respect." He offered a handshake. I extended mine. He held on, stroking my palm with his fingertip. For the sake of a marriage certificate, I endured. After 3 rounds of toasts it was clear Jordan wanted a promotion. Bored, I excused myself to the restroom. When I came back, Jordan was gone. "Miss Morgan, returned? Let's drink." Leo moved to the seat beside me. I tossed back a swallow, then the room spun, limbs turning to jelly. His grin morphed into something greasy, a thick paw clamped my waist. I tried to shove him away, but I couldn't move. "Where's Jordan?" I slurred. "Oh, he gave you to me hours ago," Leo chuckled. He lunged, pinning me, his oily lips on my neck. With every ounce of strength I pushed free and staggered toward the door, straight into Jordan. I reached for salvation. He shoved me back. "Relax, baby," he hissed. "You want partner, I want promotion. Marry me, entertain Leo, win-win." I lurched for the corridor. He blocked, slammed me onto the sofa. "Don't play hard to get. You dress like this, begging for it. Remember how wild you were in my bed?" "Insane bastard," I rasped. He smirked and walked out. Leo forced me down. Tears leaked from my eyes as his hands roamed, until a deafening crash echoed. Through the haze I saw a familiar face, Emery. I woke in my own bed. He brought water and lectured, "Easy on the champagne next time, dear." "The one who drove me home?" "Young Chase. He left right after." I padded to the window, fists clenched. Then I dialed. "Police? I'd like to file a police report. Orphan or not, no one violates me. A woman uses the law." After reporting, I headed to the office. Emery was sorting my blueprints. Design team conference room, 15 minutes, I said, sinking into my chair, limbs still heavy. Thank you for last night. If you need a husband, check character references first, he replied, sliding a folder over. Inside, proof Jordan and Leo had embezzled from the firm. How dash? A finger to his lips. Old contact downtown. While he fired off meeting invites, I stared at the documents. Finally he leaned over my desk. Boss, I can make you partner. I knew he came from money, he'd run from an arranged engagement, I'd hired him out of pity and, okay, eye candy improves morale. Connections, huh? I sipped Earl Grey. Marry me, he said. Tea went down the wrong pipe. You what? He placed his household register on the desk. No joke. Civil wedding at lunch break? You're serious? He nodded gravely. Let's draft a contract. A smile ghosted across his face, he agreed. At 3 o'clock sharp I held a marriage certificate. To keep things quiet, move in tonight, I said, tucking it into my tote. Emery flushed but nodded. Back at the office I'll announce it. Contract says you're off payroll tomorrow. I opened the car door. Whatever you say, he chirped. News hit the design floor like a bomb. Minutes later senior partner summoned me. My odds looked excellent. I savored the win. That night I rolled into my building's garage, phone buzzing, young designer Morgan's dirty ladder to the top articles claiming I slept my way up. I swiped them away. Then a message from his son in homicide. Leo had been taken into custody but was bailed out. Investigators had tracked the smear campaign to Jordan. I forwarded Emery's embezzlement file to every finance reporter I knew. If they wanted fireworks, fine. After a bath I stood, robe slipped into the tub. I walked bare to the dresser and collided with Emery. Crap. I'd forgotten he lived here now. Turn around. Oh sorry, I didn't dash. I bolted to my room, heart ricocheting. Morning. I cracked the bedroom door. Emery was setting the breakfast table. I reminded myself, whoever feels awkward first, loses. Morning, I mumbled. He approached with a lazy grin. I backed up until the wall stopped me. He braced an arm above me, amusement dancing in his eyes. Damn, wife, your body's on fire. My face flamed red, I didn't even know why. Maybe it was because he was too handsome, lounging in house clothes that made him look like the leading man who had just stepped off a novel's cover. I'm going to wash up, I said, then tried to bolt, but his arm barred my way. What are you running for? Afraid I'll eat you? Emery's tone had shifted completely, nothing like the professional, earnest version he usually wore. I'll be late for work. I shoved at his arm, it wouldn't budge. My palm did meet first-class muscle. It's Saturday. He moved in, warm fingers tipping my chin up, and kissed me domineering, sudden. I pushed him back on reflex, cheeks blazing. We can't do this. Is President Stone planning to break the contract? Emery locked an arm around my waist. There's nothing in the contract about intimacy. Didn't you read the addendum? This counts as force majeure, sweetheart. He leaned to my ear, voice a velvet rumble. I'm a man, human, with appetites. The sound turned my bones to water. I swallowed hard. Looking down at me, he stole another kiss against my throat before I could react. Sparks shot through every limb. After a satisfied second he drawled, I'll let you off for today. I fled to the bathroom and checked the mirror. A scarlet patch bloomed on my neck. At breakfast I had no appetite. Need me to chew it for you? Emery asked suddenly. I jumped and wolfed down the congee. Later, I unrolled my mat on the balcony for morning yoga while he watched from the couch. Every pose felt wrong. Why had I agreed to the fake marriage correction? Why had I agreed to live with him at all? He had been dismissed, his gaze followed me everywhere. When I finished I dashed for the shower without meeting his eyes. There I reached for the bathroom's built-in dresser, empty. Only then did I remember he was gone. She used to keep it stocked. Memories of last night spooked me, but I called through the door, "Emery, could you bring me some clothes?" Moments later a tall shadow appeared. I cracked the door and stretched a hand out only to grasp Emery's instead of fabric. He pushed inside and cornered me against the wall. "Do we have to stage the same scene twice?" Before I could explain, he silenced me with a kiss, then murmured, "Still works on me, though." He kissed me again, deeper, until I wound my arms round his neck instinctively. Warm palms skimmed my damp skin. He hoisted me onto the vanity. When I pressed at his shoulders, he gazed down, utterly besotted. "Wife, you're not allowed to refuse." He pulled me to him, mouth tracing downwards. No dash I tried, but excitement only flared higher in him. He lifted me off the counter and folded me against him from behind. In the mirror I looked tiny against his frame, scarlet-cheeked. Size difference, was this what people meant? "Don't be nervous, I'll be gentle," he whispered at my ear. Much later my legs were jelly, I wilted into his arms. Carrying me to the bedroom, he laid me tenderly on the quilt. "You sounded gorgeous just now." I yanked the duvet over my face, he tugged it back. "How about calling me husband?" I rolled my eyes. "Please, Mercy?" "We're legal spouses," he reminded, dead serious. My phone rang. I grabbed it and frowned, muttering, "Where am I going to get 6 million? 6 million what?" He nuzzled my chest. "Hey down, boy." I nudged him. Peering at the screen, he said, "Because you're junior, the partnership stake is 6 million for the good of the group." "How do you know that?" "Big firms all do it." 6 million? "I'll give it to you." "You have that?" "Doubt me?" He left the room. I stared at the text, crunching numbers in my head. He returned quickly and pressed a black card and a stack of blank checks into my hand. "Here, Mrs. Sterling. Quit joking, this isn't play money." "I'm serious." "Unlimited. Use it." He was a disinherited heir, I didn't dare. I shook my head. He tapped at his phone. Seconds later a text chimed in, 10 million had landed in my account. "The limit's lower on that one, use it first. Keep the card and checks too." He forced both on me. "I can't take your money, I'll transfer it back." He pocketed my phone and pinned me with a look. "You're my woman, what you want, I deliver." Boss Alpha catchphrases my brain whirled. "Who exactly are you?" I whispered. "Your husband," he answered, solemn as a vow. "Really?" I wondered. "Do you like me?" I studied his unfairly perfect face. He actually blushed and dipped his head. I pressed, "Well?" Finally he met my gaze, smiling. "Yes." "Why deny it?" "So this crush of yours was premeditated?" I asked, slipping into fresh clothes. "Absolutely." He kept staring, dazed. I couldn't take the heat anymore and escaped to the study. I selected a pink-toned gown for the upcoming press conference and counted the days. Gossip traveled fast. Leo and Jordan's scandal already circulated through the finance crowd. Both faced lawsuits, massive restitution, possible prison. They deserved it. Having dated Jordan felt like a lifelong stain. I closed the laptop. The apartment had been silent a while. Outside, I found Emery asleep on the sofa, looking soft, almost kittenish. I covered him with a throw. "Done gawking?" he asked without opening his eyes. My boss says there's a gala tonight, mandatory +1 dash. I'm free," he cut in at once. "Great. I'll order you a tux, what's your size?" I reached for my phone. He slid closer. "After how well we know each other, you still need measurements?" "Some architect you are." "I design buildings, not suits," I retorted, blushing. "The way you look right now, I could just bite you." I scurried away. At the gala Emery wore a limited edition tux and the hairstyle I'd created for him, every female gaze locked on him. My pink strapless fishtail gown shimmered with sequins like fish scales, gorgeous, even by my own critical eye. On his arm I entered the ballroom. "Going to the restroom, Wander, wait for me," he said and vanished. I exchanged pleasantries with my supervisor, then drifted toward the buffet, champagne in hand. My legs still trembled, walking was overrated. I turned and collided with a dazzling woman. I apologized at once. She seized my wrist. Well, Morgan. Didn't get enough bullying in high school? And now you crash parties? Look at yourself, my gown is haute couture, pay up. I focused, Taylor, the girl who'd hounded me until I transferred. My stomach lurched, the flute nearly cracked in my grip. Miss Sterling, long time. Price tag? I kept my face blank. She sneered, grabbed a glass of red wine, and dashed it in my face. The liquid sheeted down my gown. 300 grand. Can a penniless orphan manage that? I produced Emery's black card. Charge it. Taylor snatched it. Movie prop, right? I'll teach you embarrassment. She signaled an assistant, the machine beeped. Payment approved, miss. Taylor's smirk faltered, then resharpened. Some sugar daddy's whore. Disgusting. The commotion had grown so loud that more and more people drifted over to watch. Security moved in to break it up, but she silenced them with her pedigree, just like years ago, when she'd been the one who hurt me yet I'd nearly been the one expelled. Besides throwing your name around, what else can you do? Run around shrieking like a fishwife? I wiped my face with a napkin and spoke without raising my voice. Taylor's arm shot up, ready to slap me, only to be caught midair by a sudden, larger hand, Emery's. She retracted instantly, turning sugary sweet. Emery, she bullied me. Throw her out. He glanced at me with something like pain, then stared Taylor down. You're not welcome here. Leave. Why? I came all this way for you. How can you treat me like this? Before she could finish, security hustled her off the gala floor. Sir, may the dinner begin? The estate's private majordomo asked Emery. I blinked. Sir? Emery belonged to which family? The invitation said Sterling. My curiosity spiked. Emery didn't answer, he merely flicked the man a look, scooped me into his arms, and walked us out of the ballroom. Every head swiveled. I felt like the evening's clown. Inside the lounge he selected a fresh gown for me. I sat at the mirror and did a quick touch-up. Sorry you were humiliated, wife, he murmured, slipping his arms around me from behind. I just spent 3 million of your money, FYI. Everything I own is already yours. He kissed the curve of my shoulder. Minutes later we re-entered the hall. Heads turned again, Jordan's among them, and I clutched Emery's sleeve. So, whose heir are you? Victor is my father. A lightning bolt cracked inside my skull. Victor, the demigod whose lectures cost 6 figures a seat. The man every architect worships, Emery's dad? This script belonged on daytime TV. Huh? He's your father now too, Emery said, steering me to the legend himself. He introduced me with easy pride, my body and brain disconnected. Rowan, I'm Morgan, huge fan. I sounded like a kindergartner, ears ringing. TCH, you're married and still so formal. Victor pressed a bearer check for 10 million into my hand as a hello gift. Emery tapped my hip. Wife, don't freeze. Say dad. Dad. The word wobbled out while my fingers, traitors, curled around the check. So marriage equals instant poverty eradication? Tonight's charity auction began. We sat together, Emery announced, loud enough for the room, bid on anything you fancy. I couldn't focus and merely studied the lots. Bored, I sipped the provided Earl and nearly spat it, had nothing on Emery's. I leaned in. This Earl tastes like dishwater next to yours. His eyes shone. I'll brew you a pot at home and feed it to you sip by sip. I swatted him. Chase, remember the crowd. Then I spotted it on the block, my childhood pendant. That's the charm I lost, I whispered. The woman beside me, Taylor's mother, instantly reacted. Truly yours? I nodded. One corner's chipped from when I dropped it. She bolted without another word. I tugged Emery's sleeve. Husband, I want it. Name your price, he teased. Just win it first. 10 million, he called, lifting his paddle. I gaped. Opening bid had been 60 grand. But dash. A gift for you deserves a grand gesture. He smiled as the gavel fell. Murmurs rippled through the guests. Back home I collapsed on the sofa. Emery disappeared, returning with a steaming cup. Sleepy blend, try it. Heaven, I sighed after the first swallow. He tasted from the same cup, approved, and set it aside. Then he tipped me backward. I haven't removed my makeup. Shoo. You promised no takebacks. Curtains open. Isn't that more exciting? I woke at noon to a text, family emergency, home to sort it out. In the kitchen I found lunch waiting, tomato and egg scramble, beef with bell peppers, light veggie soup, plus a sticky note: wife, eat, don't skip. I grinned, plate in microwave. The doorbell rang, delivery guy with a bouquet. Signed, accepted, placed beside my food, flowers and hot lunch, perfect. While scrolling my phone a friend request popped up, Taylor's mother. I hesitated, then accepted. She cut to the chase, she might know my birth parents. I replied I was fine, the past was past. She persisted, I yielded. Afternoon, casual outfit, I reached the address: Willow, a high-end tea house that breathed old money. She greeted me warmly. Unsure of your taste, I ordered Earl. Coincidence, I love it. One sip proved it flawless, I'd have to bring Emery. Try the soy osmanthus cake, she urged, feeding me the whole tier before speaking. I finally asked why we were here. She slid a folder across the table. Inside, my 5-year-old photo. My throat closed. She smiled, eyes gentle, eerily familiar. I slammed the file shut. Ma'am, is this real? She nodded and began. Her half-sister, my mother, lost me in a rainstorm. While searching, the couple died. Later a girl arrived with the pendant claiming to be theirs. That girl was Taylor. She raised her, then last week an anonymous text claimed the real child still lived, leading to me. Coincidence, I insisted, though every detail aligned. Your nickname was Stone, correct? The word hit like a boulder. Gathering myself, I said, Taylor has been your daughter for years. Let it stay that way. Even if you're truly my aunt, I'm good. I stood, she caught my wrist. Morgan, your grandmother hasn't long, please visit. Grandmother? A childhood memory slammed into me. I'd met Constance before, though I couldn't picture her face. The jade pendant hanging at my throat had come from her. Promise, Eleanor, she whispered. Go see your grandmother. What about Taylor? The knot was still there. Truth is, Constance suspected Sabrina was a fake ages ago. She looked nothing like your mother. We searched everywhere for you, but we kept hitting walls. Every buried ache tore open at once. I was suddenly exhausted. In the end I agreed, one visit to the grandmother I no longer remembered. The entire drive I teetered on the edge of panic, half ready to bolt, but I forced myself onward. Orphaned, I'd assumed I had no one left, yet a grandmother still breathed. Rain drummed against the windshield, and I was 5 again, chasing a red balloon down a flooded street, losing the way home. My father had been a celebrated architect, my mother defied everyone to marry him. Constance had scowled the first time she saw me, yet she'd pressed the family pendant into my palm anyway. The car stopped. Constance's retreat lay hidden beyond the city, a private estate that felt like a slice of old Suzhou dropped into the hills. Eleanor chatted about the architecture. Blood instinct told me I could never afford a single roof tile even if I stopped eating for the rest of my life. Inside, Constance's hair was pure snow, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, an oxygen mask strapped to her mouth, death waiting in the wings. I called to her softly, her eyes flared, desperate to speak. Eleanor wept. For one flicker I almost believed in blood warmth. A middle-aged man stepped in, Constance's attorney, here to read the last will. I thought I'd misheard. Every asset, including this mansion, would pass to me. Before he finished, I blurted out a refusal. Constance thrashed, alarmed, shrieking, so I signed. Minutes later she was gone. My chest caved in, tears slipped free. Taylor exploded through the doors. Mom, Dad, don't fall for it. She's a fake. Why should she inherit? Enough, Eleanor snapped, voice cracking. Bitch. Taylor swung, her father caught her wrist midair. Eleanor unfolded a DNA report, Taylor's tantrum guttered out. You know exactly why we never found Stone, Eleanor said, squeezing my shoulder, eyes slicing toward Taylor. I don't know what you mean, Taylor muttered. Stop, Sabrina. We gave you everything. You repaid us with lies and worse. I walked out before the lecture ended. Taylor followed, smirking the same smirk that had haunted every hallway of my life. Morgan, I should have crushed you when I had the chance. I don't lose. Wait and see. She strutted away. I left the estate, head spinning. So that was it. My bloodline was the reason she'd bullied me for years. Night. I drank until the room spun black. 1 month later. I made partner. At the press conference I felt newborn life finally starting. Then Emery stepped up to speak and my pulse stuttered. A reporter's voice cut through. Ms. Stone, sources claim your marriage certificate is forged. Care to comment? Any statement on this marriage contract? How will the firm respond? My skin went numb. Emery rose, smooth as scotch, and slid an arm around my waist. Effective immediately, I take control of Sterling Ventures. Morgan is my wife. Is that sufficient? The room erupted. Sterling Ventures, Victor's empire was his? Which meant Rowan, the rumored Iron Lady, was his mother. I'd never even wondered. He bent to my ear, smiling. Sweetheart, if you like, I'll gift you the whole skyline. Why marry me? His grin sharpened, he pulled me close. So I can sleep with you, of course. Flashbulbs popped while he announced our marriage and takeover. Something felt off, but his confidence was a narcotic. I trusted the current would carry us both. Afterward he whisked me to the Sterling Ventures penthouse. He promised a real wedding, a proper gown, the works. I barely heard him. Can I still be partner? Everything I have is yours, he laughed, hugging me. I pushed gently away. I fought for this. I need dash. His mouth crashed over mine, cutting off words. The kiss tasted of possession, his hand slid to the small of my back, bending me toward the desk. Don't move. Not here. No one will walk in. Come on, live a little. I said no. He caged me against the leather top anyway. 30 breathless minutes later I stared at a damp stain on the carpet. What do we do? Looks like my wife enjoys danger. He leaned in for another kiss, I dodged. Clean it up, please. When I came out of the bathroom the evidence was gone. Dinner? He asked. Sure. Night again, and Emery was gone on business. I sprawled across the vast bed, uneasy. The press conference kept looping the way he'd deflected my question about partnership. Scrolling for distraction, I froze. A gossip site splashed grainy photos, me, Jordan, Leo, positions I never posed for. The headline screamed fraud heiress unfit for Sterling bloodline. Comments shredded me alive. I hurled the phone away. Morning brought a fresh alert. Emery's response. Heart thudding, I hit play while I dressed. Given the severity, Sterling Ventures will terminate Morgan Stone effective immediately. I am also filing for divorce. His voice, crystal clear, sank claws into my ribs. I replayed it until the screen cracked against the floor. I called, his phone was dead. My hand shook so violently the cell slipped again. Dressed, I stared at his half-empty closet. Jordan was in custody. How had those photos surfaced? What did Emery gain by torching me? My phone buzzed, a single line from Eleanor. He wants Constance's lake house. A laugh slipped out, so that was why he'd gotten close to me. He'd known my real story all along. That was why Eleanor had buttonholed me at the gala, why the inheritance had later dropped into my lap. Every domino had fallen because I'd wanted too much to make partner at the firm. I pulled our prenup out again. Back then I'd trusted Emery completely. I'd signed first, then handed it over and told him he could add anything he wanted. I hadn't expected the clauses he'd slipped in, each one more outrageous than the last. The photos had only been the spark. What he really wanted was the house and me walking away with nothing. Right on cue the doorbell rang. I opened it to find lawyers from Sterling Ventures Holdings waiting a divorce settlement. They cooed that if I signed today I'd still net $100 million, if I refused, I'd leave empty-handed. As if I cared about the money. Tell Emery to come talk to me himself. I shut the door on their protests, sucked in a steadying breath, and knew every step had been choreographed in advance. I threw a few things into my bag and headed to the precinct. Through the visiting room glass Jordan looked haggard. Emery's handiwork, no doubt. I cut straight to the chase about Emery, but he clammed up, only spewing curses until the officer dragged him out. If he wouldn't talk, that was answer enough. Sterling Ventures Tower. I rang Emery's cell again, still voicemail. A bitter laugh escaped. I had no idea what to do next. Then I remembered Taylor, always scheming, always sniffing for leverage. With the matter about to change hands, she'd be twitchy. I got her address from Eleanor and drove over. The whole ride his face kept flashing through my mind, and that scared me, because I was pretty sure I'd actually started to fall for him. I parked down the block from Taylor's villa and waited. After an eternity a car pulled in. I started forward, then froze. Emery and Taylor, glued together, climbed the steps like honeymooners. Thank God my brain still worked. I lifted my phone and shot the evidence. Seconds later I felt tears crawling down my cheeks. I told myself feelings were just white noise. I asked Eleanor to meet me at the same tea room as last time and laid everything out. She stared as if I'd lost my mind until the photos flashed across my screen. Eleanor, I want the simplest things: do good work, live a quiet life. But life refuses to play fair. My parents' deaths, my disappearance, doesn't it all feel a little too perfectly staged? She sipped her tea, silent for a long beat. Your uncle dug up the records last night. I just didn't know Sabrina and Emery. She exhaled. Sabrina showing up was Victor's script. He's always wanted Constance's lake house. But I still can't bear to see Sabrina hurt. I pressed about my parents. According to every file she'd checked, it really had been a car crash. The house originally belonged to the Sterlings' Emery's grandfather. Victor's father lost it to your grandfather in a busted deal. When the Sterlings climbed back to the top, they tried to buy it. Your grandfather refused. Which lands us where we are. Her eyes flickered, and I sensed she was still hiding something. Back home I tossed all night, then rang the lawyer. I'd sign, but only if Emery was in the room. We set the time and place, the Willow Tea Room. That evening I hunted down Constance's housekeeper. Too many holes needed plugging. Quinn, 60 and serenely elegant, opened the door with a knowing smile. I knew you'd come. Skip the small talk, Quinn. 3 questions only. Ask, spill everything, she said. How did my grandmother die? When did she realize Taylor was fake? And is Eleanor actually her daughter? I'd never once heard Mom mention an Aunt Eleanor. He stirred her coffee. The old lady sniffed out Taylor the day she walked in. Eleanor isn't Constance's child, she's the daughter of Constance's old flame. Your grandparents' marriage was arranged, hearts strayed. Constance took care of herself. Would a chill really kill her? I sneaked a look at the 4 chart, basic fluids. I handled her meals, anything else went through that drip. You think the bags were doctored? She nodded. I glanced at Constance's portrait on the wall. Maybe the whole thing's a setup: her death, Eleanor, Uncle, Taylor, Victor, Emery, even you. His smile thinned into something eerie. I'm dying anyway. But here's the kicker, Eleanor is Victor's full sister. Constance never knew. And Emery? Not Victor's son. His real father is dead. Victor told Emery your dad murdered him, so Emery blames you. What's Emery to Victor? An enemy. You're saying Victor killed Emery's father? Her nod was almost imperceptible. How did you tumble to this? He asked. I'm an architect, we live for details. The red flag went up when Emery blocked my partnership, or maybe the day Eleanor first approached me. That's the real Sterling heiress talking, Quinn murmured. I tapped my phone in my pocket. Recorded every word. The police get it tomorrow. Goodbye. Outside, Detective Zhang, son of Mom's old helper, was waiting. Just like you guessed, Victor's tied to Emery's father's death. I handed him the pendrive. You've cracked the cold case, Morgan. We'll put protective detail on Quinn. Do your thing, I said, eyes closing as the car rolled away. Morning. I showed up at the Willow on time. No Emery. Figured even he had enough shame for a lifetime of calling a murderer dad. I stepped outside and there he was, soup perfect, bouquet in hand, smiling like sunrise. Ice crawled up my spine. I spun and broke into a run. His long legs closed the gap in 3 strides, arms locked around me. Game over, wife. Come home. The memory of him wrapped around Taylor flashed through me. You looked plenty happy cuddling someone else. All an act. You know I'm squeaky clean. We're getting divorced. Save the lines for your next audience. He scooped me off the sidewalk and carried me to his car. Only after he buckled me in did he speak. Thank you for playing along. Without you I'd never have nailed Victor so fast. How do I even thank you? Pay my invoice and we're square. A wave of nausea surged, I swallowed hard. Hey, relax, the Sterling Empire is yours now and so am I. He leaned in for a kiss, I shoved him back, clamping a hand over my mouth. Stay over there, I am gonna be sick. His face clouded. You okay? I stared, deadly quiet. That day he proposed the deal, help me act the loving couple, get the marriage license, and he'd make sure I made partner. I hadn't guessed the baggage involved generations of skeletons. He targeted me because he knew I was Constance's real granddaughter. Our paper wedding lulled Victor while Emery dismantled him from inside. Emery played the dutiful son because his mother needed cover to dig into Victor's past, and Victor couldn't afford exposure. Years of swallowing humiliation led nowhere until Emery learned he had once worked for the Sterlings. Victor's obsession, reclaim the Lake Manor. My thoughts spun until he waved a hand in front of my eyes. Hospital? He asked, reaching for the keys. I caught his sleeve. Yeah, maternity ward. His jaw dropped. You're pregnant? I'm late. We'll find out. He beamed like a kid on Christmas morning. Hold tight, best hospital in the city, coming up. I touched the pendant at my throat and let myself smile. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling tales. See you next time.